right? Just some general instructions and class rules, okay? So first of all, please make sure that you are logged into your Geniebook account, right? In order to follow the lesson, not via Zoom, all right? Make sure you are logging in via your Geniebook account, okay? Then have some writing materials available because we're going to do a lot of, again, multiplication as well as division, okay? Then remain polite at all times. Yes, I know you're all excited about Chinese New Year, sharing with me all your experiences during Chinese New Year, right? As some of you said, you had your lo hei, you had a lot of ang pao money, right? Good that you enjoyed your Chinese New Year, okay? But yeah, hold your horses, okay? You can tell me all about your Chinese New Year after the lesson, okay? Okay. Now, if you need any technical assistance, right? So if you cannot see the slides or if you cannot hear me, right? You can message the moderator in the chat, or you can try to refresh or rejoin the meeting again. Okay, or you can try the alternate source, right? So if let's say now you're on source 1, you can try on your source 2 or vice versa. Okay, so lesson overview. So we have already covered multiplication 2 weeks ago and division last week. So now we are going into the problem sums, okay, word problems, but simple ones today, right? Involving maybe just 2 steps at most. 2 or 3 steps at most, right? So word problems involving multiplication and or division. Also, word problems involving multiplication and or division with remainder. All right. So before we go into the word problems, let's do a recap on how to perform the division of 4-digit number by a 1-digit number, right? Because this is what you are learning in P4 division. Unlike last year in P3 division, right, where you are just learning how to divide a 3-digit number by a 1-digit number. Okay, so let's do an example question together before we go into your first bubble question, right? So I know some of you are still trying to warm up your brains a little, right? So let's use this as a warm up. Okay, so we have here 3,059 divided by 7. Okay, so if you remember how I teach you guys the long division method, which is your daddy, mommy, sister, and brother method, right? Your DM, S and B. Okay, so let's apply that to this sum. 3,059 divided by 7. All right, so D here stands for to divide first. Okay, so we start off from the leftmost digit here, 3. So 3 is smaller than 7. So with that, we have to first put a 0, right? Because we cannot take a smaller number and divide by a much bigger number. So we'll put down a 0, then followed by multiply. Okay, so multiply 0 by 7, we get 0, subtract. Then we bring down the next digit, right? B for bringing down next digit. So we have 30. All right, so 30 now divided by 7. What's the closest multiple of 7, right, to 30 over here? Yes, Yun Sing, thank you. 4, right? 7 times 4 would give us 28. So we do a subtraction. Then we bring down the next digit. We have now 25. All right, so now 25 divided by 7. What's the closest multiple of 7 over here? 3, right? So 3 multiplied by 7 gives us 21. Subtract. And finally, we bring down our last digit, 9. So here I have 49. So 49 divided by 7. Yes, right? 7 multiplied by 7 gives us 49. And there we have it. When we subtract, we have nothing left, no remainder. All right, so therefore the quotient or the answer to this question here is 437. Okay, brilliant. BODMAS will be taught in primary 5. Okay, so not to worry about that. BODMAS is your order of operation. But my DMSB here refers to the steps to doing long division, right? Let me just write down here, DMSB. Okay, so you divide, multiply, you subtract, and then you bring the next digit down. Okay, so do not confuse that with your order of operation. Sorry, why does it bring your next digit? Bring the next digit down. Okay, that's your 4 steps to doing long division, and then you repeat the whole process again. Okay, all right, so anyone here needs me to explain again? If not, we'll go into our first bubble question already, very fast. Okay, all right, so your first bubble question, your first ang pao from Mr. Yan. Okay, your bubble question 1, recap question 1. Okay, so do the following division for me. Okay, so you have a piece of paper, go and get your paper and do your working right now. Okay, so 4,875 divided by 5 is equal to, so what is the quotient to this question over here? All right, so I'm going to give you 1 minute very quickly right now. Use your paper and your pencil or pen, work out the answer. Okay, so your 1 minute begins now. Okay, so good. All right, for the first question, I have, wow, more than 70% of the class got this question correct. Okay, so let's go through this very quickly. So again, if you follow your divide, multiply, subtract, and then bring the next digit down, it will look like this. Okay, so multiply, subtract, bring down the next digit. Okay, then divide, multiply, subtract, bring down the next digit. Then same thing, divide, multiply, subtract, and finally bring down the last digit, divide, multiply, subtract, and there we have it. Right, so the answer to this recap question number 1 is 975, which is number 4. Okay, so look through the steps here, right? See if for those who make a mistake, where did you go wrong? Okay. Okay, now let's look at our recap question number 2. Are you guys ready for your next ang pao? All right, so your recap question number 2 goes like this. Yep, it's question 2A. 2A. There's a 2B later on. Okay, so for question 2A, what is the quotient? Take note. What is the quotient when 4,221 divided by 8? Okay, I just need the quotient. All right, so I give you a bit of time. Do it on a piece of paper. Okay, so let me see how much time you have for this. Oh, 1 minute. Okay, so your 1 minute begins now. All right, so time is up. Let's take a look at the result of this. Slight dip in the number of students who got this correct, but it's okay. I think some of you are still warming up. Okay, so let's try this together. So same thing, let's start from the leftmost digit, 4. Right, 4 divided by 8. 4 is smaller than 8, right? So put a 0 first. Okay, so multiply, subtract, and we bring down the next digit. So we have 42. Now 42 divided by 8. Well, the closest multiple of 8 can only be 40, not 42. Right? So 40 I know is 5 multiplied by 8. So subtract, bring down the next digit. Okay, so now we have 22 divided by 8. So again, what's the closest multiple of 8 over here? We have 16, right? 16, right? So we know that 8 multiplied by 2 would give us 16. Subtract, and finally we bring down the last digit. Okay, so we have 61. So again, what's the closest multiple of 8? Right? Go through your multiplication table of 8. All right, so 8 multiplied by 7 would give us 56. Okay, then subtract, and there we have it. Right, I have no more other digits to bring down already. Okay, so we can stop there. So the quotient, which is this number over here, is 527. Okay, so the answer to bubble question or recap question 2A is number 1. Okay, so are you guys ready for your question 2B? You all can guess what question 2B is all about, right? Question 2B is basically your remainder. I think I've given you the answer, so I think you'll probably just need 2 seconds, right, to press the answer, right? So here comes your question 2B. What is the remainder? Are you guys ready? Are your fingers there on your cursor? Okay, so your question 2B begins right now. 3, 2, and 1. Time's up. Ooh, surprising. Some of you didn't press the correct answer for this. Okay, so if you refer back to question 2A, what is the remainder? The remainder is found over here. This is your remainder. Okay, so the remainder to this 4,221 divided by 8 is actually 5. 5. And therefore, it's option number 1. Okay, so I'm quite surprised some of you press number 2, number 3, or even number 4. Right? So yeah. Okay, now that's all to the recap. So let's get down to our word problems. Okay, let's get down to our word problems. So let's take a look at an example first. Okay, so the word problems that we'll be looking at today will mostly be a 2-steps word problem, or maybe at most 3-steps word problem, right? It will not involve a lot of steps. Okay, so let's read the question together. If need to, we're going to break it into sentences and try to interpret what each sentence actually meant, or what can we calculate based on each of the clues. Okay, so let's take a look at this question here. Now, Mrs. Lee bought 16 boxes of markers. In each box, there were 144 markers. She then repacked the markers equally into 6 boxes. So how many markers were there in each box? All right, so there are several clues in this passage over here. Let's try to work out the answer by interpreting what each sentence here actually meant. Okay, so first of all, we know how many boxes of markers Mrs. Lee bought initially, and we know how many markers were there in each box. So this is quite an important phrase here. In each box, there were 144 markers. So based on just the first 2 sentences, what do you think I can calculate first? Okay, the first step we can do is to find out how many markers were there in total that Mrs. Lee actually bought. Okay, so we have to do a multiplication first, right? So we're going to multiply the number of boxes by the number of markers in each box. So that would be 144 multiplied by 16. We have a multiplication of a 3-digit number by a 2-digit number. How do we do this? Do you still remember? 2 lessons ago, right? 2 lessons ago, we have learned how to multiply a 2-digit number by a 2-digit number, and also a 3-digit number by a 2-digit number, right? So let's do a recap again, how to do the multiplication, in case some of you have, forgotten, right? So you notice that 16 over here, if you remember your number bonds, right? 16 here can be split into what plus what? Can you all give me an answer? If I were to split 16 using number bonds, I can split it into something plus something, which will help me multiply by 144 much easier. We can divide it into 16 plus 6. Okay, so what I usually will do is I'll split it into something plus a multiple of 10, right? Because we learned that multiplication by 10 is really, really simple. We just need to add a 0 to the back of the number. So that's why in order to simplify the multiplication of a 2-digit number, I will usually split the 2-digit number into something plus a multiple of 10. Okay, so I'll split 16 into 10 plus 6 first. So this then means it becomes 144 times 10 as well as 144 times 6. Then we're going to add these 2 answers together. Okay, so what is 144 times 10? Can you all tell me in the chat? What is 144 times 10? It's indeed 1,440, right? Whenever you multiply by 10, you just add a 0 to the back of the answer. Then you are left with this part, when you can just do simple multiplication like this on a piece of paper. All right, we will get 864. So the last thing we need to do is just to add them together. All right, so 1,440 plus 864, we get 2,304. So this is the answer to the total number of markers that Mrs. Lee bought. All right, so now, after you have calculated the total number of markers, what do you do next? So now I know that Mrs. Lee will be repacking these 2,304 markers equally, right? Again, the clue here is equally into 6 boxes. So what do I do next? We are going to perform a division. Okay, so since we're going to repack them, means we're going to split them up equally into 6 boxes. So we're going to do a division, 2,304 divided by 6. And this is where, again, you do your long division. All right. Like this. sorry, that should be 8. And there we have it. The quotient is 384. Okay. All right. So that I'm going to show you your next bubble question. All right, your next bubble question. So your bubble question number 1 over here. But let's read the question together. Okay, let's read the question together first. Now, Mr. Lee sold 15 television sets each month, from January to May. Each television set was sold for $375. So how much money did Mr. Lee get from selling all the television sets that he sold from January to May? All right, so you must know first, how many months are there from January to May? Okay, then each month he sold 15 television sets. Each television set was sold for $375. Okay, so my clue here is 2 steps. There are 2 steps to this question over here. Okay, so I think you'll need a bit of time to work out the answer for this. All right, so I'll give you 1.5 minutes. Okay, 1.5 minutes. But for those who have already attended the class yesterday or the day before, and you've already gotten the answer, right? Be patient, be patient. There are some students that have not attended the class before, so they need some time to work out the answer. Okay, so your bubble question 1, right? 10 bubbles starts now. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at the solution to this. Now, first of all, in order for me to know how much money Mr. Lee earned from selling all the television sets, I need to first know how many television sets did Mr. Lee sell. Can you tell me what to do? What is the first thing that I need to do? All right, so the first thing I need to do is, of course, we will take 15 multiplied by 5. Yes. Okay, because each month from January to May, January, February, March, April, and May, 5 months altogether, each month 15 television sets. So 15 multiplied by 5 is equal to 75. Yes. Okay, now then, since each television set was sold for $375, so we're going to take 375 multiplied by the number of television sets. Okay, so how to do the multiplication for this? Same thing. I will split 15 into 10 and 5. Okay, I'll split it into 10 and 5. So I'll take first 375 multiplied by 10. All right, then later on, take 375 multiplied by 5. After that, we're going to add them together. Okay, so the first part, 375 times 10, well, this is easy. All right, so we'll just put a 0 to the back of my number, and that will be 3,750. Right, so the other one is the one that we need to calculate using working. So 375 multiplied by 5. 7, 15, 18, all right, 1,875. Okay, so then the last part, oh, why did I multiply by 15? Oops, should be by 75. Sorry, thanks for pointing out the mistake. Yeah, why did I do that? Okay, should be multiplied by 75. Okay, so split it into 70 and 5. Okay, 70 and 5. So the first part is 375 times 70. Then the other one is 375 times 5. Okay, so then 375 times 70, you can take this part. Okay, so you multiply 375 by 7. Like this. Right, then just add a 0 to the back of the number. So that will be 26250, sorry, plus 1875. So therefore the answer is 28125. Okay, and that is number 3. Okay, now in a shopping center, there are 6,312 people. Half of them are females, and then half of the males are boys. So how many boys are there? All right, so this question quite straightforward. right? So they're telling you how many people are there all together in a shopping center. Half of them are female. So what does that mean? The other half, right, of the people in the shopping center has got to be males. So out of the males, half of them are boys. So can you find out for me how many boys are there? All right, so same thing again, 2 steps. First, find out the number of males in the shopping center. Okay, first step, find out the number of males in the shopping center. Next, using the number of males in the shopping center, find out the number of boys. Okay, all right, so with that clue, I will give you 1.5 minutes again. Anybody thinks that you need more time, you can always let me know. Because from the previous question, I think some of you didn't manage to complete your working. Okay. Okay, so your 1.5 minutes begins now. Okay, so time is up. So let's go through this question together. Now, first of all, I know that half of the people in the shopping center are females, right? In other words, half of the people in the shopping center will be the males, right? The males. So let's do a division then. We will take 6,312 divided by 2 in order to work out the number of males in the shopping center. Okay, so you do your working, 6,312 divided by 2. Okay, this one. Okay, so I have 3,156 people in the shopping center that are males. Now, out of these males, of course, we have the adult, which are the men, and then the children, which are the boys. Okay, so therefore, with these 3,156 males, half of them are boys. So again, we need to divide 3,156 by 2. Okay, so you repeat your whole long division process again, like this. Okay, so we have 1,578 boys in the shopping center. Okay, so therefore the answer to this bubble question number 2 is number 2. All right, now of course I know that there are some of you who did it with only 1 step. Now, why 1 step? Now let's draw a model to see. Okay, so let's say I first draw the model to represent the number of people in the shopping center. All right, so that will be 6,312. Now, according to the question, half of them are females, right? So let's split the model into 2. So this part represents the female shoppers. So the other half represents the male shoppers. Now, all of the male shoppers, half of them are boys. So I'm going to split this part into 2. Right? So this will be your boys. Now, of course, when we draw model, we want to make sure all the units are equal in size. Okay, so since I cut this part of the model into 2 equal half, same goes for this. I'm going to cut it into 2 equal half like this. So in this model, I then have 4 identical units that represents 6,312. So can you see how I can find the number of boys using the model? Right, so the number of boys will be represented by 1 unit. So you can just take 6,312 divided by 4, and you can also get the same answer, 1,578. Okay, so this is by using model. For those who are more of a visual learner, you see things by using diagrams, then this might help you to see why I must divide by 4, or why must I divide by 2, then later on divide by 2 again. Okay. Yep, you can take a screenshot, you can copy it down on a piece of paper if you want to. All right. Okay, after this, we'll move on to another type of word problems involving comparison, right? You have your more than, less than, as many as kind of question. All right, so those are the common kind of questions that you also will encounter in your assessment, right, in P4. Okay, so are you guys ready for your, okay, not your bubbles questions yet, but right? Let me show you an example in case later on, right, a similar question will appear in your bubbles questions, right? Some of you might make careless mistakes. Okay, so I would prefer to first go through an example. Okay, so let's take a look at this example, question number 3. I'll tell you why some students will make mistakes for such questions. Okay, now in this question here, it says Sam has 5 times as many stamps as Roy. And both boys together, right, they have 1,500 stamps all together. How many more stamps does Sam have than Roy? Okay, so when you see this question, I know some of you straight away will say, Mr. Yan, can I take 1,500 divided by 5? Because I see 5 times. Or some of you might even think, oh, should I take 1,500 divided by times 5? Because it says 5 times. Now, very easy for students to make mistake this way if they do not draw models. Because they see 5, they see 1,500, they'll just play around with the multiplication sign or the division sign. Okay, so yes, some of you already know we should be dividing by 6. Why 6? Now, for those who don't see why 6, if you draw the model, right, of Sam and Roy, so the clue here is Sam has 5 times as many as. So Sam would have 5 units of stamps like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Compared to Roy having only 1 unit of stamp. Right? So can you see here? Sam has 5 times as many stamps as Roy. In total, both of them have 1,500 stamps. So can you see here? It's not 5 units that stands for 1,500. Okay, it's actually how many? 6 units. Okay, 6 units here that represents 1,500. Okay, now the question here is how many more stamps does Sam have than Roy? So if you compare the two models, Sam has 4 more units of stamps than Roy, and this is what we want to solve. Okay, so I see a lot of you already tell me that yes, I need to find 1 unit. Right, a lot of you have already found 1 unit for me. So this is just 1,500 divided by 6. Okay, so you do your long division, you should get the answer 250. Yes. Okay, now then to solve the number of stamps that Sam have more than Roy, it is your 1, 2, 3, 4. This 4 units over here. Okay, so 4 units represents 250 multiplied by 4. Okay, so again, you do your working of 250 multiplied by 4. It's indeed 1,000. Okay, so Sam has 1,000 more stamps than Roy. Okay, so take note, for questions involving more than, less than, as many as, right? Draw a model. It's easier, right, for you to see what should you be dividing or multiplying by. Otherwise, right, a lot of you, right, will just take 1,500 divided by 5 if you didn't pay attention enough. Okay, now Bell, why 4? Because the question is asking for the number of stamps that Sam has more than Roy, right? So Sam has 5 units while Roy has 1 unit. So do you agree Sam has 4 more units? Right, Sam has 4 more units than Roy. So that's why I find out what's 4 units. Okay. All right, so with that, any other question before we go into your bubble question? Okay, so recall what I said just now. Draw a model, then it's easier for you to see how many units stands for how many. Okay, now Benjamin here sold 4 times as many bookmarks as Adam. Now the 2 boys, right, sold a total of 3,750 bookmarks. Okay, how many more bookmarks did Benjamin sell than Adam? Okay, so draw your model. Find out how many units stand for 3,750. Okay, then compare the two. How many more did Benjamin sell than Adam? Okay, so you have 1.5 minutes for this. All right, time is up. Okay, let me see how many of you managed to secure the 10 bubbles for this. All right, good job. Well done, well done. Okay, I know some of you still have difficulty or didn't have enough time. All right, don't worry, don't worry. Okay, now let's take a look at this question over here. Okay, now I have 2 characters over here. Benjamin, Adam. All right, then I know that Benjamin had sold 4 times as many bookmarks as Adam. So let's draw the model for Benjamin and for Adam. Okay, so Benjamin would have 4 units of bookmarks. Adam has only one unit of bookmark. Okay, now then in total, the 2 boys sold 3,750 bookmarks. Okay, so now how many units then represents 3,750? Can you tell me how many units represents 3,750 bookmarks? All right, so I see here in the model altogether 5 units. Yes, Triru, you're right as well. Chloe also, Yunxin also. Okay, so 5 units in total represents 3,750. Okay, so then we can use the unitary method to find out what's 1 unit representing. Okay, so do your long division. Okay, so 1 unit is 3,750 divided by 5, which will be equal to 750. Okay, so now the question is, how many more bookmarks did Benjamin sell than Adam? So since we know that Benjamin sold 4 units, while Adam only sold 1 unit, can you see how many more units did Benjamin sell than Adam? Yeah, 3 units more. Very good, 3 units more, right? So in this model, it's actually this 3. Right, so therefore, we just need to find out what 3 units represent. Okay, so 3 units would be 750 multiplied by 3. Okay, so do your working. So the answer is 2,250. Because this question is worth 20 bubbles. Okay, I want you all to earn this 20 bubbles, right? I want to give you this 20 bubbles. So I will be helping you out in the model. Okay, I'll be helping you out in the model. Then you use the model to solve the question. All right, so let's take a look at this challenge question. Now, this question says, Peter scored a total of 4,311 points playing 3 games. Okay, he played 3 games and he scored 4,311 points. Now, in the second game, he scored 3 times as many points as the first game, right? So that's your first clue, 3 times as many, right? So second game was 3 times as many points as the first game. Now then, in the third game, he did badly and he only scored half the score of the first game. So can you calculate what was his highest score? All right, so let me help you out with the model. Now let's start off with the first and second game, okay? Because we have a comparison statement here for the first and the second game. So let's draw the model, okay? First game, second game. Now, how many units will I draw for the first game? Can you tell me? So we know that the first game should only have 1 unit of score, while the second game is 3 times as many as the first game. So that will be 3 units for second game. Okay, now we are left with the third game. Okay, now we are left with the third game. Let's see how we can add in the model for that. So according to the question, he did badly for the third game and only scored half the score of his first game. Now, we have the model for the first game here already. It's 1 unit. So for the third game, I must cut it by half, cut it into 2. All right, so I'm going to cut it into 2. And for the third game, it's only this much. Okay, all okay with the model so far? Now, after you have drawn the model, our aim is to find out the value of 1 unit. But you notice all the sizes of the blocks here are different, right? We have blocks that are small, blocks that are much bigger. So we need to make sure all the units in the blocks, right, are the same size. So let's cut. Okay, let's cut, and cut. And do we know the total score for all 3 games? Yes. it's 4,311. Okay, you all understand why I cut the model, right? Because I want to make sure all the units here are of the same size. All right, so you can see all these blocks here, same size. Okay, total score 4,311. Now, the question asks for the highest score. Which game did he score the highest? Second game, right? Can you see? The second game is the one that he scored the highest. So this is what I want to find. Can you find out the score for the second game? Is that all right with everyone? Okay, so first thing you need to do is identify how many units here represents 4,311. Then find out what's one unit equal to. Then you want to find the highest score, right? How many units is the second game? 6 units. Okay, so these are the steps to solving the question, all right? So I will give you 2 minutes, okay, to try out your solving this question. Okay, 20 bubbles for this. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 units altogether. Okay, so 9 units would be 4,311. Okay, last 4 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. All right, great effort, great effort. Okay, great effort. Okay, so let's go through this together. So all understand that there are 9 units altogether after I've drawn the model. Okay, so there are 9 units equal to 4,311. So 1 unit, of course, be 4,311 divided by 9. And if you do your long division properly, you should get 479. Okay, now then, since I want to find the highest score, so he scored the highest in the second game, which is 6 units, right? In the model, there are 6 units. So that will be 479 multiplied by 6. So again, if you have done your multiplication correctly, answer is number 4, 2,874. Okay. Now again, don't feel disheartened just because you didn't get this challenge question correct. Again, just learn from a mistake, okay? You can still earn bubbles from other questions, right? That comes after this. Okay, all right, so now let's move on to questions involving remainder. Okay, let's take a look at an example first. Okay, let's take a look at this example. All right, so now since it's Chinese New Year, oranges, we have lots of Mandarin oranges here. Okay, so oranges are packed and only sold in boxes of 12. Okay, so they have very strict guideline here. Only sold in boxes of 12. Now, each box costs $8 and Ahmad has $150 in total. What is the maximum number of oranges that Ahmad can buy? Okay, so imagine you are Ahmad right now. You have $150. You go over to the fruit stall. The fruit stall owner said, each box costs $8. So what should I do first? I want to know how many oranges Ahmad can buy. So I need to first know how many boxes of oranges Ahmad can buy. So the first thing I need to do is to take the money that Ahmad has and divide it by the cost of each box. Okay, so this is the first thing that I need to do. Now let me repeat again, right? I will take the total amount of money that Ahmad has, right, and divide by the cost of each box, which is $8. So this will allow me to find out what is the number of boxes of oranges that Ahmad can buy. All right, yes, Bernice. Okay, so we will do a long division of 150 divided by 8. Okay, so I know 15 divided by 8 is, closest multiple is just 8. Okay, subtract, bring down the next digit. Now 70 divided by 8. Closest multiple of 8 is 8. Right? 8 times 8 is 64. Okay, now you can see here, there's remainder, right? There's remainder. So if I were to put down my answer, it's actually 18 remainder 6. Now, what does the remainder here mean? What does the 6 here stand for? If you are on a different source, like source 1 and source 2, of course, it will be of different speed. Okay, don't worry so much. Okay, now, so 18 remainder 6. 6 here stands for the $6 left. Okay, the money left. While the 18 here refers to the number of boxes, right? Because each box costs $8. $8, $8, $8, $8. So there are altogether 18 of the $8 here, or 18 of the boxes that Ahmad can buy. Right? So of course, with the remaining $6, can Ahmad still buy more oranges with the $6? Do you think he can like bargain with the shop owner, say, I have $6, can I buy one more box? No, right? He cannot buy another one more box because the boxes are sold at $8 each. So $6, nah, not enough. Yeah, right. A lot of you tell me, no. He cannot buy another one more box with $6 left. So he can only buy at most 18 boxes. Now then, I want to know how many oranges, not boxes, huh? How many oranges can he buy maximum? So that's why 18 multiplied by 12. Okay, because each box has got 12 oranges. Okay, each box has got 12 oranges. So 18 boxes multiplied by 12 oranges in each box. Okay, so you do your long multiplication, same thing, right? You can split 12 into 10 plus 2. So then you do the multiplication of 18 by 10 and also 18 by 2. You add them together. All right, so 18 times 10 is just 180. Then 18 times 2 is 36. Add them together. This will be your answer. Ahmad can only buy 216 oranges at most. No more, no less. All right, because he doesn't have enough money to buy more oranges. I mean, he has, but because they are selling in boxes, right? So even with the $6 left, he still cannot buy one more box. One more box costs $8. All right, so maximum is 18 boxes. 18 boxes has 216 oranges. Okay, so I'm going to let you try one bubble question on your own and see whether you can get it. So your bubble question goes like this. All right, so this is your bubble question 5. So it says here that Farmer Tan harvested 3,867 oranges and he'll be packing them, right? So you should know what to do, right? He'll pack them into bags of 8. After which he'll be selling each bag for $5. How much will he receive from the sale of these bags of oranges? Okay, so I let you try this on your own. All right, so your 1.5 minutes begins now. All right, so time is up for this question. Okay, so let's go through the first step. All right, so we know that he's going to pack them equally into bags of 8. All right, so first thing we need to do is how many complete bags will Farmer Tan actually have? So we will take 3,867 and divide this by 8. So let's do the long division. Okay. This will be 8, 64, bring down the next digit, and this is 3, 24, subtract. Yeah, we have remainder. Okay, so this will be 483, remainder 3. So what does the 483 here stand for? And what does the remainder 3 actually stand for? 483 here represents the number of bags, right? Because each bag contains 8 oranges, right? 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. So there will be 483 bags. This 3 in the remainder stands for the number of oranges. But because each bag must have 8 oranges, so these three remaining oranges here will not satisfy the condition, right? So we're not going to put that 3 oranges in any of the bags, so they'll be left behind. So with the 483 bags, each bag will be sold for $5. Okay, so we will take 483 multiplied by 5. Okay, so let's do the multiplication. Okay, so altogether, Farmer Tan will be receiving $2,415 from selling all the bags of oranges, excluding the 3 oranges that were remaining. Okay, so $2,415 is the answer. Number 2. Okay. All right. So yes, thanks for reminding me. Okay. So it's already 4:30. Okay. So I'll end off the class with just again a summary of what we have done today. Right. So we have done word problems involving multiplication and or division, as well as word problems involving division with remainder. Okay. So if you have any questions, feel free to stay back and ask me.